Now we are moving to a historical session. Good afternoon to everyone. This is the launch of a new website of scientific communication. And you're going to see that it's very much inspired in the ideals of Professor Sérgio Mascarenhas. And to launch the website and to explain it, we have a super selected representative team. We have Professor Sérgio's children, daughter and son, Yvonne and Paulo. We have Professor João Fernando representing the founding board of Brain Science US, and also Professor Belda and Mateus Passos. They are the two organizers and maintainers of the website. And they are looking after the site, managing it. This is an idea that came from a conversation with Professor Sampaio 2 years ago, and then it really made a lot of sense, in Professor Mascarenhas to have this additional challenge. In addition to everything that we are doing for the progress of science, and making Brain for Care reality, we also needed to have something in terms of access, communication, education, more than what Brain for Care is doing, but everything related to our website. So I'm very happy and very glad to turn the conference over to Yvonne. Yvonne, please feel at home. Today is a day of celebration, and it's very nice to have you and Paulo sharing with us a little bit more about him. I am deeply grateful. The morning was really great, and I'm sure that if Father were alive, he would be very excited and having many ideas and giving ideas to everyone. Just as a reminder, and Fernando's I have prepared a very few slides that I'm going to share. May I? So as I said, after my minor tech glitch, well, there are a few things that will always remind me of that. He was born on May 2nd, and this sentence he said a lot of what he wanted to do in his life. Nations without science and technology are doomed to be a mere providers of commodities and cheap hand labor to rich countries. This is a sentence by Abdul Salam, and he really admired Abdul Salam. And Daddy, during his life, was about talking about art, culture, and science. And to talk about science, he liked to share this Sabatus triangle, remembering that in society there are companies, universities, and research institutes, and everything that he did was created there. And the government that needs to support that. And if we don't have management, this will not become true. For all of this to happen, I think that the factor and something that he always did and always talked about was about the education and communication of ideas. Doesn't matter whether you are talking about art, culture, or science. Communication and the promotion of ideas is what will take you from the past to the future. And that's why he liked this sketch, which was like his trademark. And so this was all over his life, not just in terms of cerebral compliance, but there is a multitude of possibilities. And this is the picture he used to describe or to talk about compliance. And for each one of these items, he wanted to talk to neuroscientists, pharmacists, people who study hydrocephaly, epilepsy, eclampsia. And then we always saw this thing of and everything, all the knowledge that is disseminated is knowledge that is not doing or fulfilling its role. So he was born in Rio de Janeiro in 1928. In 52, he graduated at the University of Brazil, as it used to be called back then. And he was, one of his teachers was Anísio Teixeira. So talking about education, Professor Costa Ribeiro, his mentor. In 1954, he was invited to come to São Carlos. And here, once again, the issue of education and research was very strong. He and my mother came to San Carlos, and this is where it all started very intensely. So this is the facade of the School of Engineering of the University of São Carlos. This is at the top today, and when he got here, it was here below in 1960. São Carlos back then was a city of 40,000 inhabitants, so everything was more difficult. And it was especially more difficult to do research. In 59, he won a scholarship from the Fulbright Foundation, went to the US, and then went back to the question of communication, bringing people, and always seeking to have people around his ideas. In 1960, he was invited by the Organization of American States to promote physics in the many centers in Latin America. So here, once again, communication. And in 1965, he conducted research with iron crystals in Princeton. And so he went overseas and came back to Brazil. In 1966, he was part of the foundation of the Brazilian Society of Physics. Once again, here we have the journal, education, communication. And I'm not going to go over everything, but in 1972, this is the first image on the right-hand side. This is a mandible of victims from Hiroshima, where he tried to find, once again, to innovate. Doing radiation dosimetry with bones from Hiroshima in 1969. He founded SAPRA, and so we saw his focus on management in 1979 here. Here he has his children, Sérgio, Roberto, Paulo, Elena, Professor Camera, who helped a lot. In 1981, he went to ICTP, and then in 85, he founded Embrapa. It's always physics applied to all areas possible. So it is physics in solid state, physics in radiation, agriculture, the physics that becomes material science in the university, in the Federal University of São Carlos. In 1996, he articulated with Ford Foundation financial support for a study program in Latin America, which something that he talked a lot about. And in 2006, when he had hydrocephaly, he went to the war and he said, Yvonne, impossible, I can't do it. We need to find way to assess intracranial pressure without having to drill a hole in my head. In 1914, he founded Brain for Care, first here, but then we had investments. And then for you to understand, he always focused on communication. In addition to the many papers and students, he wrote two books, The Look of Janus, one of two, where the entire chronicle and anything related to nature he tried to write here for communication. So I think that the website right now is has come here to culminate everything he did for us in the family. It's very touching to bring his memory. And the last thing he did, which was this part of brain compliance. And I'm very grateful. And I think that I have said too much. If Paulo wants to say something, I'll stop here. And that's it. I'll stop sharing. Thank you very much. We are just here to thank and to provide all the necessary support. I know that there are many sponsors here, and I would like to congratulate uh, Dr. Belda, Oliveira, Carlos, and Passos, everyone that is working so hard to move forward the idea. I would like to thank all board members. Thank you very much. I think that now João can talk a little bit. I'm going to be very brief. I think that the focus are Mateus and Belda showing the website, and I imagine Dr. Mascarenhas looking at all of this, and I saw the last lecture in the morning, and it's really sensational. And I remember that day after the surgery, when he was sleeping with Paulinho, and I went there to visit him, and he couldn't believe that they had to drill a hole in his head, and he called me and he said, we need to invent something. And then I took him a bottle of Coke with an accelerometer and oscilloscope to visit him. And then we put the accelerometer on the Coke bottle, and then we were hitting on it, and as we opened the cap and let the pressure out, it changed. And that was something. And Sergio, he stimulated everything that crossed his path. Everyone was thinking of something. And then afterwards, he built this thing of compliance, which was really genius. And this became a product. And then the product gained sponsors that are very competent, Bremer and Plinio, and you're really to praise for having embraced this cause. And they really augmented research and discoveries, and then intracranial pressure. And I think that it's like the brand of Sergio Mascarenhas, something that comes up in the minds of people and that really sticks to the minds of people, providing the opportunities of discovery, learning, promotion, scientific businesses, practical solutions for problems of saving lives and everything else that he imagined. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he imagined he would leave a legacy that would stick to people's minds as he stuck to our minds whenever he suggested projects and idea. And this is the censor. It's his mark. I think that this is super well organized conference and everything, the website, simultaneous interpretation, everything is great, magnificent. You're really to praise, and I'm very proud to have the chance of taking part in this and being able to help you to think and to be part of the board, or to be sitting at the board of Brain for Care and Brain Science. And I think that is going to be the center of connections. Everyone who wants to think about this and wants to discuss and communicate, congratulations to everyone. And I really miss Sergio. Thank you, everyone who spoke before me, especially Yvonne and Paulo and João Fernando for his words. And I would like to give you a brief testimonial of Professor Sérgio Mascarenhas, that we really, really miss him, and we are filled with admiration. And when this website dedicated to the communication of results of scientific research on the brain, I remember an episode in one of the first conversations I had with Professor Sergio Mascarenhas when I went to him in the city of São Carlos with an idea in the mind, the backpack in my back, and telling him that I would like to start a project of scientific communication, scientific journalism from the city that was considered a capital of technology, and one better than Professor Sérgio to advise me on that venture. And then I thought that I was going to hear welcoming and praise words. And as surprising as he usually was, he said the following to me: Belda, that's a good idea, but you are an obsolete journalist. And then, well, I found it funny. Why, Professor? Why do you come here with a proposal of doing scientific journalism printed on paper? And this is outdated. The world has changed. The internet is here. There are new information technologies that are here to stay. And I support your initiative that can start on paper, but we need to go to the internet. We need to work with digital media to understand about software and algorithms. This is going to revolutionize journalism and to immensely increase the capacity and efficiency of scientific communication initiatives. So back then I was 30 something, he was 80 something, and I was the obsolete in the conversation. And of course, he was right. And the last 10 years have proven that any communication initiative, especially geared towards professional, student, academic, scientific, health audiences, cannot do without digital communication media. That's why I'm very happy to be able to launch this website in the digital media in order to meet the challenge that was given to me by Professor Sérgio Mascarenhas more than 15 years ago. Brain Science, of course, started on the internet as a website that can be accessed at the address www. brainscience.news. An address that is meant to be international, and it's not by any chance that it started bilingual in Portuguese and in English simultaneously, of course, which only makes the challenge bigger, but also increases the potential of penetration and impact of this publication, not just in the scientific and Brazilian medical community, but also internationally, with the objective of providing more visibility to research done in Brazil, starting with the brilliant work that Professor Mascarenhas' disciples did in terms of intracranial pressure monitoring, and also the scope of the agenda of our website goes well beyond this theme. We'll try to cover the brain science in all its wide-ranging scope, seeking innovation, technology, new methods, new knowledge that might bring up to date professionals working in the healthcare industry and all other professionals who might need to use this type of content. This illustrious and unknown agent, the brain, the human brain. I would like to thank the members of our founding board, the people who are renowned for their knowledge, that somehow have participated in this history and memory that Professor Sérgio Mascarenhas have provided us. And I would like to name them now and to tell them how important it is for us, journalists, people working with science communication and science promotion, to be able to count on the orientation of people as experienced as Antonio Carlos dos Santos, neurologist of the University of São Paulo, full professor that coordinates the Department of MRI at the School of Medicine of Ribeirão Preto, also Dr. Gisele Sampaio Silva, doctor neurologist at Federal University of São Paulo, full professor at that university and conducting clinical research at Albert Einstein Hospital, Professor Glaucius Oliva. Glaucius is a major scientist and contributor of Professor Sérgio Mascarenhas at the Institute of Physics in São Carlos. He was president of CNPq. He's an expert in structural biology. And obviously, he also was very close to Professor Sérgio Mascarenhas at the Physics Institute, João Fernandes de Oliveira, who's here representing the founding board. And this launch ascension, João Fernando, a great friend, worked very closely to Professor Sérgio, as he said, in the area of mechanical engineering and production engineering at the University of São Paulo and School of São Carlos, and also president and co-founder of Embrapa, the Brazilian company of research and industrial innovation. Maria Lucia, journalist, amazing work in scientific journalism, founder of the journal FAPESP Research, which is really a landmark in good quality scientific journalism from the Federal University of Bahia. Our illustrious Minister of Science and Technology, Sérgio Machado Rezende, we really miss him while he was managing public policies for science technology in Brazil, also an engineer with a PhD and also long-standing contributor with Professor Mascarenhas, and he was a great Minister of Science and Technology in the Lula government between 2005 and 2010. Also, Professor Silvio Crestana, physicist, pioneer in the application of CAT scans in agro research, studying the ground and the soil with agriculture and livestock raising research, also working very closely to Professor Mascarenhas and then Professor Vanderlei Banhato, working in the Institute of Physics in São Carlos, one of the main scientists in Brazil that advises us not just with his intelligence, from his immense excitement for scientific communication.
He is a person that is always linking the society, the academia, and the scientific community. And to close, we have Ivone Mascarenhas, who was very close to Professor Sérgio for how long? She's also a head professor at the University of São Paulo, University of São Carlos, and she develops a brilliant work on education for science or science for education in the basic school units, to short the gap that we have between science and basic education in Brazil. I'll try to be very brief and more general about this website. Madeus, together with me, he's in charge of the publishing team and for putting together the content. And I also would like to thank all the journalists, all the graphic designers, all the writers, everyone who gave their technical support and who are doing their best to develop such an initiative with quality. He's naming now all the journalists, graphic designers, and everyone who has supported our trainees. I might be forgetting someone, so I better not mention everyone by name. So on behalf of those who I had called now, I am publicly thanking everyone, those who are in the front line, those who are in the on the backstage, everyone. Now I hand over to Mateus. So Mateus can let us know a little bit about the publishing project, about the content, about scientific researches published at papers, congresses, to a communication strategy which will include websites, social media, and a newsletter where our members will receive once you share your email. Mateus, share that with us. What have we got at the brandscience.news as of today? Well, at 1, we have to close, we have really to stick to our agenda, okay? The website URL is brandscience.news. This website will include general research as well as new diagnostic ways and mainly to investigate the brain relationship to new research outcomes that we may reach along those lines. We prospect agenda and topics related to research, new concepts, intracranial compliance, therapies, technologies, everything which is related to brain health. We validate innovations based on articles published at different journals of high impact. Those published by Brazilian medical societies, as well as international publications. In addition to our own prospects, we also accept our founders board of directors, our founders committee, which will work close to us in the content choices as a curators. Health providers, physicians, they will also indicate future possible researches which they may consider relevant. Of course, that we will investigate and see if they have a potential to be later on published and if they could be covered by the brain science topics. Once a relevant topic is identified to be covered by our team, we get in touch with the information source, researchers who are part of the publications, and if we have other health providers as part of the therapy or care, clinical care, you also contact them as well as other relevant players. We try to listen everyone who is part of the process. We interview them and then we start writing down our news, headlines, and articles. Today, our website has got some news reports about research outcomes, different methodologies, scientists' profiles, some notes that will encompass some research results, surveys, clinical trials. The Brains on Brain is the profile of scientists, where you'll be able to find a gallery of researchers historical researchers from the past centuries, as well as contemporary researchers, people that had collaborated to the scientific research. We also have a section for interviews and opinion leaders' comments. Here, our publisher team, we have 2 editors, myself representing the University of São Paulo, and then there is another journalist as a collaborator, and we also have freelancers who will help now and then. And we'll have some special column writers, special editor writers. The flagship is the website, newsletter, and some social media. Our Instagram account may be visited now. You may see there Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, brain science, social media platforms. Let me briefly share our monthly newsletter, Brain Picks, with a outstanding headline. And then we are going also to address some profiles and a small curatorship of news and events, part of the same topic. Now so that's it that I had to share, and I hand over to the host of this panel, where we have almost to close this session. But before that, let me share the layout of our homepage. URL brandscience.news. We are paying an honor to Professor Mascarenhas, who was such an inspiration to all of us. The different medical fields which are covered, the brains on brain, those who are behind the science addressing the brain, where you'll be able to find profiles of great scientists from different ages. We also have a banner where we mention our sponsors and supporters, our mission and vision, where we aim to disclose scientific quality information. We are going also to add some public institutional banners to foster public science in Brazil throughout the CNPq. And this website is available in English. You just press the American flag and you'll be able to have the whole website translated into English. There is an upper bar that helps you to navigate throughout the website. Here, one of our piece of news. We try to be very precise as to source, bioreferences. We try to have a very colorful and illustrative articles that help us to summarize each research finding. We do hope to have an active participation by the scientific community. Over here, you may read about our mission. Here, our team, our steering committee, and also our publishers office and publishing team, and those who are responsible for the different editors columns. This is the English homepage. English is the international science language. Timeline, there is a timeline with a description about about the life history of Dr. Mascarenhas. Here, another example of a narrative where we convey information about a research conducted internally. This is the Brains on Brain homepage. The content curatorship selected and published over the international press, and which might be of our readers' interest. And let me remind you that this curatorship session is not specifically for papers or scientific articles, but rather different communication material which is published around the international media regarding brain's health. Here, an agenda to update our scientific committee about congress, symposiums, medical events in the field. And here, some reading suggestions for continuous education. You are all invited to visit brandscience.news. Please share that with your work partners, students, collaborators. We do need your support. We do need to have more views, so our website will attract more readers and will become more popular. We will reach all symposiums participants to learn more about our work, to engage the public, and also to collaborate with your criticisms, suggestions. The website is live and it belongs to the medical scientific community. So please stay tuned and help us. We are just facilitators and representatives of this initiative. Science, which is kept within the drawer, is useless. Science has a reason to be. Once it will impact the society by transforming processes and by contributing to our country and to our society. Thank you for your time and attention. And that's it for now. Thank you both for managing the time in time. Now we are stepping out of the planning phase and we are stepping into action. It's high time we produce. I hope that everyone likes it, uses it, shares it, and turn that website into an important field for investigation, learning, with no fake news, with medical scientific evidences. So please benefit from that. If you know about anyone or any company who would like to sponsor us, please get in touch. Our website needs donation, so we do count on everyone's collaboration. So within 3 minutes, I'll give the floor back to Professor Colombari so we can resume the symposium. And I'm so happy, glad, and honored to be able to pay this tribute to Professor Mascarenhas.